Now, what can I say about this Arkansas Derby? In keeping with the other prep races this year, not a lot of speed, but it's very seldom that I handicap a race and pretty much every horse is the same horse. Let's get into this here. Arkansas Derby, $1.25 million in the purse, mile and an eighth, Oaklawn Park. Um, as I was saying, very tightly contested race, I guess you could say. The optimistic way of looking at this. Um, the horses are very similar times, very similar strategies, you would say, histories. The difference is the jockeys and the trainers. Um, and as we know, in races of distance, that's more important. The jockey and that trainer hold more importance, in my opinion. The more strategies involved. Unless you're going a really long distance and you're going with horses that just can't do that against a horse that can, um, the strategy's important once you get over that mile. So here we go. Number one. This one is Bourbon Bash. Bourbon Bash, Raylu Gutierrez. They got him at 15 to 1. Now, he did have a 46-second workout time. That kind of stuck out to me because that's pretty quick. But his workouts were all over the place. 104, that was 102, 48 or 47. All over the place on that. But that was just an interesting note. I know he had that quick workout. He was fifth in the Rebel last out. Before that, ran second in an optional claimer at Oaklawn. Um, Two pedestrian races. The Rebel being fifth in that race, it ran at 144. Uh, you know, he's with 2 lengths off of that pace. Or sorry, 6 lengths off of that pace. So, that's not very fast, as with the rest of them. Now, the only thing you could say, I guess you want to look at the strategy on this horse. He is going to be one of the ones I think is going to be near to the front. I think it's probably in this case going to work against him um, with the jockey and everything. Unless someone breaks strategy, and that's what I think could be a thing with this race. Someone just breaks strategy and just goes for a quicker win, maybe. Uh, but even if they do that, it's going to tire everyone out, and somebody's going to come off the back end anyway. So anyway, that's Bourbon Bash there. Like I said, a couple of races, running 6 lengths off the pace. He had a second pace there, second place in an optional claimer. Two pedestrian times. Raylu Gutierrez. He is trained by D. Wayne Lucas. I mean, for sentimental factors, if you want to go with the D. Wayne Lucas, yeah, okay. But I've talked about this horse for too long. Number two, um, Interlock Empire. This one, they got him at 20 to 1 in the morning odds. David Cabrera aboard a Kenneth McPeak horse. Another one, he's coming off a win. It's a maiden race. Maiden special weight, uh, mile and 138. And horses breaking the maiden, it's very seldom that I see a horse wins his maiden and then comes out and wins the next race. Especially if it took him a while to get there. It's just not very likely to happen. I don't think and especially not up against these jockeys and trainers that are probably going to prepare a little bit better. That's why they got him at 20 to 1. Number three, Harlow Cap. Now this one's where it starts to get a bit interesting. Jockey is Ricardo Santana Jr. Trainer Stephen Asmussen. They have teamed up for 2 wins in this race in the past. Superstock and Creator. Superstock was 2021, Creator 2016. Yeah. Um, Asmussen's got 4 wins overall in this one, second behind Todd Pletcher for most wins of all time. So he'd be moving up to get his fifth in this one if he can get the win here. Now this horse last out, not impressive. Sixth place Indy Risen Star. Risen Star at Fairgrounds. That mile and eighth and 151. I mean, I can't talk enough about how unimpressive these times have been this year. Now before this, he got a win in an optional claimer. That one, 143, mile 116. So I think you want to say, okay, it's not really impressive, but I mean, for this year's things, like, hey, 143, that's what Forte's running, So, but in the Risen Star, not impressive. I mean, maybe you could just throw that race out, but I don't want to. I don't think you should. Someone should have come away with more speed in that race in the end, and it just didn't happen. The 4, 10-1. This one, Two Eagles River. Like the name of the horse, jockey Nick Juarez. Don't like the jockey. I've gone over this Nick Juarez thing a few times. I mean, if I pick this horse to do anything, there's no way he's probably not going to do anything anyway. So I just never hit anything with a Nick Juarez horse. Not going to start this time. Do kind of like the horse, though. Winning his last out, once again, a mile and 137. So, I mean, it's like, hey, okay, it's okay for what you got now. Probably going to be riding too close to the front, I think, but the horse does close well. Third place before that, but then he was coming into let's see, we've got a second by a head, a second by a neck, and a win for that. So this horse closes well, not just coming in the money, but he closes well. That was against weak competition, though. So I think he may close well in this one and just still be behind. This could be a photo finish. This race could be, I mean, you could have a three-way photo for one or two positions or something. Because like I said, the horses are so closely matched when you look at them on paper. But then when you come down to the jockeys, you just can't do the Nick Juarez thing. Number 5, Airtime. Christian Torres riding this one. I kind of feel the same way. Not really as much about Nick Juarez, because there's times where it looked like, I don't know, Juarez should have done better. But Christian Torres is riding this one. He's coming off a win. With Torres riding him, horse is coming off 2 wins back to back. Got a nice win, 10 furlongs at a mile 138 though, and coming off a win in his last race, mile 116th, 144. We're looking at optional claimers in those though. Stepping it up to the stakes race here. I think he's going to have to need a little bit of luck. I think need a little bit of luck. If the odds get big enough, you may want to do something with this horse. I really don't think I'm going to. Don't be surprised if he does win it, though. He's coming off 2 wins, knows the track. The jockey's won on him before. This race could be kind of goofy. Who knows how it's really going to turn out. Airtime. If you're looking for a long shot and you just want to kind of call it a long shot and call it a day, I don't know, maybe he's one that's kind of worth playing, especially if the numbers get big enough. But I mean, when you're making a serious pick, it's hard to go with that one. Even with the 2 back-to-back wins, it's tough. It's tough. Number 6. Strong name here. Strong name has he. Angel of Empire. Really like the name of this horse. I said a Classic Empire horse. Flavian Pratt is riding him. Brad Cox training him. Brad Cox got the win last year with Cyberknife in the Florent Geroux. So he is the defending champion trainer for this race. Excuse me. They got this horse at 9-2. Fair odds, I would say. Probably about where it's going to end up when it's all said and done. Got to win in the Risen Star. The race I didn't like. Now Luis Saez was riding him, and ironically enough, they get Flavian Bratt to take over because Saez is riding in the Florida Derby. Um, if you know the history about that, how Saez won the Derby and Bratt claimed foul, and they took his Derby away from him and gave it to Bratt. So ironically, it's just kind of ironic. Anyway, um, not that Bratt can't ride. Bratt can ride. Anyway, coming off that win in the Risen Star, um, like I said, 151 in that one. Second in the Smarty Jones before that, that mile in 138. So these lackluster pedestrian times in these races, but they are coming up at the top of them, and in the long run, someone's gonna win the race. Uh, I kind of like this horse. I mean, I kind of like this horse. I don't know what I can say. I kind of like him, even though he's got that slow time. He did win the race. Number 7, Rocket Can. Now this horse is a ducker. He's a duck, as we would say, like Mayweather. People like to say there's other fighters they duck. In boxing. I'm not gonna fight this guy then. Not gonna fight that guy. I'm sure it happens more in UFC. I don't follow as much. You duck fighting the guy you want to fight because you don't want to lose, and then you wait until maybe he's coming off an injury or he's 50 years old, and then you fight him. That's what duckers do. So Rocket Can here, the 7. He is ducking 2-year-old champion Forte, who's running the Florida Derby. This horse won the Holy Bull at Gulfstream. Forte didn't run in that one. Came in the Fountain of Youth. He did run second in the Fountain of Youth, 4 lengths off Forte, though. And Forte's running in the Florida Derby, big-time favorite. So they're ducking out to Arkansas and going to run here in the Arkansas Derby. Will that strategy work? It could. Possibly could. I mean, you're running down here in a lot of humidity and stuff, and then you go up there in Arkansas. It's a different kind of air. These horses ain't that fast anyway, and maybe it'll work out for them. They got him at 4-1 in the morning odds. Horse does close well. Horse runs well. He puts up those, 144s and everything, just like everybody else does. So, Rocket Can, Number 8, Reincarnate. Good magic horse. Mother's father's scat daddy. Who really wasn't considered that strong of a breeding horse until Justify. So, we take that for what it means. But Johnny V riding this horse. Trainer Bob Baffert. But wait, Bob Baffert can't ride. He can't enter horses in Arkansas. So Baffert proxy Tim Yakteen is the trainer. They got him at 5-2 for good reason. The problem is he ran third in the Rebel. Before that, he had a win in the Sham. Decent time, one of the best times of the year, the mile in 135. It was out west, though. In Cali, they're going to run faster anyway because they just don't really rate their horses there. It's just, ain't with that. That's the West Coast offense they run there. So this horse is going to be game, I think. Used to running those faster races. Got the Baffert connection. Got Johnny V aboard. I mean, how could you hate the horse with Johnny V riding him? The breeding, this good magic breeding, I don't know if it's going to work out to be anything. I see him popping up all over the place now. He was a good horse, but I mean, there's lots of other horses that were better. I think it's because he came from Curlin that people are more attached to him. And he's probably cheap, because, I mean, when you got American Pharaohs and Justifies out there, then, it's like, hey, I'm trying to save some money and breed this horse. Let's go with a good magic, So, the horse has got a lot on paper, but that loss in the Rebel kind of bothers me. It was a third place, but he was 2 lengths behind. Excuse me, that 144. So he's going to have to pick it back up and get back to that shape like he was in Cali. Now, did he get caught up in the pace? Maybe. Maybe he's just not used to running races that slow. And the horse just can't handle it. And so if that's the case, they need to have him take the lead in this one, because if he doesn't like running slow to start off the race, that's probably what they're going to do. And now I say slow, I mean slow by West Coast standards. They're not going to do that opening half here at 44, 45 seconds or anything. Probably going to be about a 47. They might get it up to a 46, but I don't think he's going to be on the front of it. They might do that. We did see Johnny V do that with Authentic, who once, I mean, that was the thing. They kind of didn't take him up front and lost, but then when they were aggressive with Authentic, I mean, he gave it gave them all they could handle. I mean, that horse really shocked me. It was a backward horse, but you gotta look at Reincarnate as a definite contender in this one. Number 9, we got King Russell. I should look up the history on this name. Not sure exactly who King Russell is, but I'm sure they got, I don't know, maybe he's a Russell Westbrook fan or something. Who knows? 30-1, Rafael Bejarano riding this one. Now he's got a couple of wins in this race here. What was that? 2013 and a 2009. Papa Clem in 2009, and yeah, got to win in 13. That's a tough read, so I'm not going to do that. Last out. Win by a neck. Maiden special weight. Before that, another maiden special weight. He was second in that, of course. So he just got his first win by a neck. Mile and 1/16 and 145. If he had to stretch out for 145 against a bunch of maidens, I don't really think you want to go with this horse. I'm just saying. I mean, the only way. Let me scratch that. Okay. Because these horses are so closely matched and they get into the speed duel in the beginning, which is likely there's going to be some kind of a duel and some kind of rating problem going on up front, I think, and some stacking going on. And you got this jockey, Rafael Bejarano, who's won this race twice before. There's an angle on this horse. There is an angle on this horse in that way. You're counting on a breakdown of the pace, though, which is possible. It is possible. So I don't want to throw him out. I'm not picking him, though. Number 10, Red Route 1. A gun runner horse. Mother's father's Tappet, so you're looking at some strong breeding here. Stephen Asmussen, the trainer, so you know he's got a bunch of wins in this race. Last out in this one, second in the Rebel. Second in the Southwest Stakes before that. So he's putting up twos. He's closing well, hitting the board. Maybe this is the one he gets it done. They switched up the jockey to Tyler Gaffalione. It was Christian Torres riding him. I guess maybe they got rid of him. I don't know whether Torres decided that he wanted to ride airtime or whether he got kicked off and went and brought in Gaffalione. Gaffalione's a better jockey anyway than Christian Torres. So maybe the horse does step it up a notch and be able to get the win here. Wasn't able to get the win in the Rebel, as I said, finished second, 1 length behind that 144. So, definite contender, you want to say, in that one. 3-1 morning odds. And lastly, number 11, Colomino. This one is a New York bred gelding. A New York bred gelding. Interesting. You know who else is a New York bred gelding? Funny Side. Huh. Anyway, 30-1 on this one. James Graham, jockey on this one. Graham's been riding forever. It feels like Graham's been riding for 40 years. I mean, it seems like literally, it seems like I was a little kid and James Graham was riding. I mean, it's in my head, surely, but it seems like he's been riding forever. Seems like you can't really count on Graham unless it's some kind of horse that he's familiar with, and he's got a few wins in the closet and whatnot, and nobody noticed, and then he comes out and gets a win. I don't see that in this race. This horse is last out third in an optional claimer. Mile and 136, good time. Same thing. Now the one before that a little bit faster, mile and 135. That was an even faster race. He was 7 lengths off of that one. Couldn't handle that time. But 7 lengths behind. Problem is, the race was on turf. Those races were on turf. They took this horse off the dirt because he wasn't any good on the dirt, and then they put him on turf, and he starts doing well. So what do? They enter him in a dirt race. They're hoping to get lucky. They're hoping that, hey, there's just such a big purse in this race. Let's enter our turf horse in this race that's shown no desire to run on dirt, and hoping to get lucky. So if you're going to bet on this horse, I think you're hoping to get lucky too. That's what we have here. Like I said, a bunch of the same horses, pretty much on paper. There's some ups and downs, like this other one, just Colomino. Yeah, he put up some good times on turf. Yeah, okay. So, when you look at the pace of this one, it's not lightly challenged up front. I do think the one Bourbon Bash is probably going to get the lead. I've got Harlow Cap, and I've got Two Eagles River, and I've got Reincarnate. Taking the lead there. Bourbon Bash on the front. I think they will eventually let him get the front. Raylu Gutierrez, just don't think he's going to rate very well. They're probably going to get pushed. Like I said, they're going to do a 47. Most likely want to do that naturally. Might get pushed up to a 46 because they're not sure who's going to get the lead and who's going to want the lead. But the more experienced jockeys will probably sense when it's like, all right, I'm doing a bit too much now, so I'm not just going to push it. Whereas the younger jockeys, I don't say younger. I just want to say the jockeys with lower win percentages tend to just kind of push it early. Just, kind of be a little gung ho and go for it. So it might get down to a 46 in this. I don't think that that's going to favor these horses being near the pace on this one. I think since all the horses are so tightly matched, and it's gonna be there. It's gonna be a bunch of jumbled up mess. It's gonna look like kind of like one of those Kentucky Derbies where the pace falls apart and it's horses all over the place in the final stretch. I think we could be looking at that. That's always going to favor a good jockey, one that finds that inside course or just finds an open course, an open lane to be able to hit the gas and go where everybody else is shuffling around because it's very difficult to change lanes in the stretch and be able to get home. So I'm looking at that kind of situation here. Now, I'm taking Rocket Can to win. I'm taking the climate difference, the climate change, if you will, from South Florida to Arkansas to favor him. Junior Alvarado, he's not that great, but he got a win in the Pegasus, hey. And he's got a win on this horse before, so he knows this horse. He's familiar with the horse. I think they probably would be the Florida Derby favorite if Forte wasn't running it. So they've moved up here. We'll see if that's how that strategy works out. I think it will end up working out to have been a good strategy, even though I'm not extremely confident in the pick. It's hard to be extremely confident in anything you pick in this race. But after shaking it down, the jockey Bill Mott, the jockey horse combination, and these other ones, like I said, they're very similar horses, and they mix the jockeys all up on it. Gaffleone's mixed over onto this one, and Torres is riding on this one. He's Torres, and then you got Santana over. It's the situation's all mixed up. All right, now second place, I've got the 10. Red Route 1, Tyler Gaffleone, Stephen Asmussen. Second in the Rebel. He was second in the Southwest Stakes. I got him second here, too. I I think the final time in this race is probably going to be 151. Maybe they get to a 150, but I just don't see these horses able to handle it. So I think he's going to get in there for second. Red Route 1. Third place, I've got the 6, um, Angel of Empire, Flavian Brat. I think he gets, coming off that Risen Star, he's got experience at the distance, but, again, another flip flop of the jockey. He's got Brad on there instead of Saez. So, hey, I got him in there running third. In fourth place, I've got the 3 Harlow Cap. I'm leaving out the favorite, Reincarnate. Tim Yakteen, Johnny Velasquez. I don't know. I didn't like the way the horse ran the Rebel. I don't think it's going to work out to his advantage in this race, being near near the front of the race, and I think he loses it. Now, I could very easily have picked him if I just want to go with the jockey and the trainer, uh, but I don't know. For some reason, I just don't think it's going to shake out that way. I just don't think. I just don't think any of these horses are that great, and I think it's going to be surprises on the board, uh, most likely. Um, so that's how I got it. 7, 10, 6, 3. Now we will see. I think this is going to be a very interesting race to watch. Uh, we'll have to let it shake out, but I just this is one of the toughest races I've had to do in a long time. Just simply because it's hard to eliminate any horse truly from contention. So I'm going to cut it off there. I'll see y'all after this race. We got the Florida Derby coming up as well today, so we will see what's going on there too.